Cybersecurity. Unit 4. Computer Forensics. Learning Outcomes. By the end of this unit, the learner will be able to understand the functions and objectives of computer forensics, discuss computer forensics policy and procedure development, document and report key findings in detail. Computer forensics. Forensics is the process of using scientific knowledge for collecting, analyzing, and presenting evidence to the courts. The word forensics means to bring to the court. Forensics deals primarily with the recovery and analysis of latent evidence. We define computer forensics as the discipline that combines elements of law and computer science to collect and analyze data from computer systems, networks, wireless communications, and storage devices in a way that is admissible as evidence in a court of law. Cyberforensic is a branch of science which deals with tools and techniques for investigation of digital data to find evidences against a crime which can be produced in the court of law. Why is computer forensics important? Adding the ability to practice sound computer forensics will help you ensure the overall integrity and survivability of your network infrastructure. You can help your organization if you consider computer forensics as a new basic element in what is known as a defense-in-depth approach to network and computer security. For instance, understanding the legal and technical aspects of computer forensics will help you capture vital information if your network is compromised and will help you prosecute the case if the intruder is caught. What are some typical aspects of a computer forensics investigation? First, those who investigate computers have to understand the kind of potential evidence they are looking for in order to structure their search. Crimes involving a computer can range across the spectrum of criminal activity, from child pornography to theft of personal data to destruction of intellectual property. Second, the investigator must pick the appropriate tools to use. Files may have been deleted, damaged, or encrypted, and the investigator must be familiar with an array of methods and software to prevent further damage in the recovery process. Volatile data is any data that is stored in memory or exists in transit that will be lost when the computer loses power or is turned off. Volatile data resides in registries, cache, and random access memory (RAM). Computer forensics is a relatively new discipline to the courts, and many of the existing laws used to prosecute computer-related crimes, legal precedents, and practices related to computer forensics are in a state of flux. If there is an incident that affects critical data, for instance, the organization that has added a computer forensics capability to its arsenal will be able to show that it followed a sound security policy and potentially avoid lawsuits or regulatory audits. In large organization, as soon as a cyber crime is detected by the incident handling team, which is responsible for monitoring and detection of security event on a computer or computer network, initial incident management processes are followed. This is an in-house process. It follows following steps. Preparation. The organization prepares guidelines for incident response and assigns roles and the responsibilities of each member of the incident response team. Most of the large organizations earn a reputation in the market, and any negative sentiment may negatively affect the emotions of the shareholders. Therefore, an effective communication is required to declare the incident. Hence, assigning the roles based on the skill set of a member is important. Identification. Based on the traits, the incident response team verifies whether an event had actually occurred. One of the most common procedures to verify the event is examining the logs. Once the occurrence of the event is verified, the impact of the attack is to be assessed. Containment. Based on the feedback from the assessment team, the future course of action to respond to the incident is planned in this step. Eradication. In this step, the strategy for the eradication or mitigate of the cause of the threat is planned and executed. Recovery. It is the process of returning to the normal operational state after eradication of the problem. Lesson learned. If a new type of incident is encountered, it is documented so that this knowledge can be used to handle such situations in future. The computer forensic investigation involves following steps. Identify incident and evidence. This is the first step performed by the system administrator, where he tries to gather as much information as possible about the incident. Based on this information, the scope and severity of the attack is assessed. Collect and preserve evidence. Various tools like Helix, WinHex, FKT Imager, etc. are used to capture the data. Once the backup of the data is obtained, the custody of the evidence and the backup is taken. Other important sources of information like system log, network information, logs generated by intrusion detection systems, IDS, port and process information are also captured. Investigate. The image of the disk is restored from the backup, and the investigation is performed by reviewing the logs, system files, deleted and updates files, CPU uses and process logs, temporary files, password-protected and encrypted files, images, videos, and data files for possible stenographic message, etc. Summarize and presentation. The summary of the incident is presented in chronological order. Based on the investigation, conclusions are drawn and possible causes explained. While carrying out the digital forensic investigation, rules and procedure must be applied. Especially while capturing the evidence, it should be ensured that the actions that are taken for capturing the data do not change the evidence. The integrity of the data should be maintained. It must be ensured that the devices used for capturing the backup are free from contamination. Moreover, all the activities related to seizure, access, storage or transfer of digital evidence must be fully documented, preserved and available for review. Prevention is always better than cure. It is always recommended to fine-tune your intrusion detection system like firewall. Occasionally perform penetration tests on your network to avoid prey to hacker. Last but not the least, report the crime. The role of forensics within organizations. When a cybersecurity incident occurs, the IT staff will often be expected to make an initial assessment to try and identify the exact nature and seriousness of the incident. They will often not have received any kind of computer forensic training. As a result, they are not necessarily aware of the issues surrounding the collection of digital data that may have to be relied upon at a later date in court. Computer forensic investigations require specialist skills, which involves not just the preservation and identification of digital evidence but the correct interpretation of that evidence. When confronted with a forensic investigation, organizations initially tend to focus on the costs involved. A forensic investigation can save time, resulting in a saving of money. When formulating an incident response plan, organizations should be building into that plan a forensic response. Computer forensics is now well established in many countries around the world and is rapidly gaining momentum in many other countries. In the UK, they have now even set up an insurance scheme where if the organization is required to call in a computer forensic company, they can claim it on insurance. Organizations need to embrace forensics and use it as another tool against those who are committing cybercrime. When looking to establish a forensics expertise within your organization, there are a variety of factors that must be considered. People. Cost of setting up the team in terms of recruitment, initial and ongoing training. Forensic laboratory. Development of a forensic laboratory with sufficient equipment to carry out forensic investigations. Developing appropriate incident response procedures and understanding their effect and impact upon the organization. Organizational policy. Systems modifications to the security policy and employee contracts may be required to permit forensic investigation of employee. Organizational IT infrastructure optional. Development of the IT infrastructure to facilitate forensic investigations. For those working in the field, there are 5 critical steps in computer forensics, all of which contribute to a thorough and revealing investigation. Policy and procedure development. Whether related to malicious cyber activity, criminal conspiracy, or the intent to commit a crime, digital evidence can be delicate and highly sensitive. Cybersecurity professionals understand the value of this information and respect the fact that it can be easily compromised if not properly handled and protected. For this reason, it is critical to establish and follow strict guidelines and procedures for activities related to computer forensic investigations. Evidence assessment. A key component of the investigative process involves the assessment of potential evidence in a cybercrime. Central to the effective processing of evidence is a clear understanding of the details of the case at hand and thus, the classification of cybercrime in question. Prior to conducting an investigation, the investigator must define the types of evidence sought, including specific platforms and data formats, and have a clear understanding of how to preserve pertinent data. The investigator must then determine the source and integrity of such data before entering it into evidence. Evidence acquisition. Perhaps the most critical facet of successful computer forensic investigation is a rigorous, detailed plan for acquiring evidence. Extensive documentation is needed prior to, during, and after the acquisition process. Detailed information must be recorded and preserved, including all hardware and software specifications, any systems used in the investigation process, and the systems being investigated. This step is where policies related to preserving the integrity of potential evidence are most applicable. Acquiring evidence must be accomplished in a manner both deliberate and legal. Being able to document and authenticate the chain of evidence is crucial when pursuing a court case, and this is especially true for computer forensics given the complexity of most cybersecurity cases. Evidence examination. In order to effectively investigate potential evidence, procedures must be in place for retrieving, copying, and storing evidence within appropriate databases. Investigators typically examine data from designated archives, using a variety of methods and approaches to analyze information. These could include utilizing analysis software to search massive archives of data for specific keywords or file types, as well as procedures for retrieving files that have been recently deleted. Data tagged with times and dates is particularly useful to investigators, as are suspicious files or programs that have been encrypted or intentionally hidden. Summary. Having completed this unit, you have learned the following. Why computer forensics is important and the role it plays in a broader cybersecurity context. That there are several steps involved in the initial in-house incident management process, which must be followed in order. The various factors that must be considered when establishing forensics expertise within an organization.